Hello again, welcome back to the show. Sport, now it should be about characters. People say there are no characters left in the game. To some extent that might be true, but there are still plenty of characters around the game, and there's no bigger character or higher profile figure in these parts, certainly around the last time that Sheffield Wednesday were really a major force in English football, than my guest this week. It's a pleasure to welcome Carlton Palmer to the studio.
Hello.
And good for the second time. I'm very well, thank you. You did appear in one of the early shows that we did here on the Thursday night on Sheffield Live. You're back for a very special reason. Carlton has got a book coming out very shortly, and I'm sure that that's going to be a riveting read for anybody interested in football, especially those followers of Sheffield Wednesday around here, Leeds United, West Bromwich Albion, etc. And I did say a big character in every sense, Carlton, in every sense. That's been said to you more than a few times.
Yeah. I mean, I'm looking forward to the book coming out. It took a year to write, but I'm pleased with it, and then we'll just have to see how it's received.
So what's it called?
It Is What It Is. I mean, the title, my wife says I say that all the time. It is what it is, because that's just the way things are, aren't they? You can't change the way things are. They are what they are, and you just get on with it.
And you can't change history and what's happened?
No.
What's your perspective on that? There's a lot of history for you, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, but the book is not a typical footballer's autobiography. I mean, and that's why I haven't done one over the years. I mean, I think to sell a football book, you've got to be really a big name. So I didn't want to do a book that was going to be criticising people and whatever. I didn't want to do that type of book. So that's why I've not done one for years and years. And it's
Could have done one. You must have had offers.
Yeah, plenty of offers, a lot of money, and I've turned it down. Why? At this particular moment in time, I think it was just fate a little bit. I met, the author, Steve. I went to see a play that he'd wrote. I liked the way that he wrote
a playwright.
The play.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is Steve Jacobi.
Yeah, the author. I liked the way the play was wrote. And then we went to see in Shanghai a black author who'd published a couple of football books, and he was the one who said to me, Carlton, you need to do a book. You've got plenty of stories to tell, and you can help a lot of young kids. So I mentioned it to Steve if he would ghostwrite the book. And he said, yeah, he would love to. And so I explained to him that I didn't want it to be, wrote as a with all due respect, I pick up a lot of autobiographies. Football ones, I end up putting them down because nobody wants to read. Everybody knows I play for Sheffield Wednesday, Leeds United, Southampton. Everybody knows that.
Yeah. England.
Yeah, exactly. People know that. What I wanted people to do is get an insight into me as a person, what makes me tick. The things I've done well, the things I haven't done well, the family side of things, racism, all these different topics that, when you get divorced and not being able to see your kids and all of these things. So we go into all of these different topics. So my wife's read the book from a woman's perspective and she thought it was a good read. So that's what we're trying to do, get a crossover
something a bit different, and you were always a bit different.
Absolutely.
In the way you behaved, the way you played.
Yeah.
And not afraid to be different. I think that's the thing, isn't it?
Well, I don't go out to be like I see some people now, and I won't mention names in the public side of things that go out to be controversial. I don't go out to be controversial. I just call things as they are. Yeah. And people like to sit on the fence and not say, well, it is. That's why the book's called "It Is What It Is." It is what it is, so you should call it as it is. I'm not afraid. I know I'm not everybody's cup of tea, and that's fine. It's not a problem to me. But when I played the game, I played a certain way. I had to play to win. I played every game to win. I had to play football.
You were regarded as aggressive, brash, all these kind of words, because of your personality in being a winner. Yeah. Was all of that inaccurate, or was there a little bit of truth in some of that?
Well, I think when you read the book, you'll get the inference that I will listen, I do want to learn, but if I don't respect you, it'll go out the window. So I'll listen to you. If I decide that what you're saying is correct, I'll go that way. If not, I'll go the way that I want to go. And if that means, as it did with Trevor Francis, crossing swords, which meant I had to leave the club, then that's the way it is. But I'd rather be true to myself at the end of the day. If I didn't agree with what Trevor was trying to do, with playing me on the right-hand side and Bart Williams in the centre, it's not going to happen. It just won't happen.
You weren't prepared to compromise, but equally you got on exceptionally well, particularly with Ron Atkinson, a friend to this day. We'll talk about him in a moment. Howard Wilkinson, I know from having a few pints with you, there's bound to be a few Wilco stories in there from your time at Leeds.
It's a strange one, that one, Howard, when you read the book, because I had agreed to go to Aston Villa. The deal was done for me to go to Aston Villa, and Ron was away at the World Cup. And Howard's my next door neighbour, or was at the time, and they matched. I think they either matched the offer of Aston Villa or beat the offer. So it was the second highest transfer after Alan Shearer's. And so my guy at the time, Dave Plummer, said to me, "Listen, Carlton, you've got to do Howard the respect of going to talk to him." And when I went in the room, I sat down with Howard, and we just hit it off straight away. Howard's just very straight, this persona that you have about Howard, that, he's got a public persona and a personal persona. He's a very funny guy, he's a very dry guy, but he's also very matter of fact. And I'm the type of person who responds better with somebody who gives clear instructions, knows what he wants, knows what he wants to do, and is like that. And he's the only manager, even though I love Ron Atkinson as a bloke, he's the only manager who's ever said this to me and delivered it. When I signed for Leeds United, he said, "If you do well for me, you will never have to come looking to me, I'll come looking for you." And after a year, he called me in and gave me a new contract. And he's the only manager still to this day to have done that.
Yeah. So you actually didn't sign for Ron as a result of being so impressed with, was it Ron at Villa at that time?
Yeah, Ron had gone to Villa. Yeah, no, what happened was I felt that I'd worked for Ron for so many years, and I love Ron. I love the way he plays, and I love everything about him. I tick under Ron Atkinson, but I just felt at this stage, right, Howard was saying to me, "You need to move back to centre-back now." I was coming up for 26. If you want to continue playing for the national team. He was clear in what he had for me to do. He wanted me to be club captain with Gary McAllister. He was clear on everything, and I like that. And he's a man of immense integrity. If he says what he says, that is how it is.
I can't think of two more different characters than Ron Atkinson and Howard Wilkinson, and the fact that both of them made you tick.
But this is what I'm saying to you.
Yeah.
Howard was not unlike Ron, but not to the public.
Right.
He was very...
I've not seen, I've seen glimpses of that side, but as a journalist, I always saw the serious side.
He keeps that side separate. Yeah. So, I've been out with Howard and had a drink. And
there's an impish side, which I've seen.
Yeah. Yeah. And he's not to be messed with.
No.
He's not to be trifled with at all.
No.
He's a no-nonsense bloke. And I like that. So for me, when I've gone and played for other clubs, in effect, I've been doing the manager's job. When I went to Leeds United, I was just the player, because Howard did the job that was required. So when managers say, like Dave Jones says, I'm brash in the dressing room, they actually knew what they were buying. Yeah. Trevor Francis, when I left and he sold me, I didn't want to leave Sheffield Wednesday, and the fans will hear that because I know all the stories went around that I left for money and this, that and the other. Absolute wrong. I signed a new 5-year contract and I would have seen my time out happily. I was very happy at Sheffield Wednesday. But then when Trevor went and he took the Birmingham job, he knew then he needed somebody like me, so he come to try and buy me.
Right, that's something I didn't know.
Yeah, he came to try.
Because I know that there was a bit of friction at Hillsborough, where he wanted you to play, but that says a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's going to be, like it or not, there's going to be some controversy in the book, because that's the way you are. You say you tell it as it is, that's the title, it is what it is. And that's the reason why people will buy it, because they're going to get some and some amusing stories.
Yeah, some amusing stories, some fun times. I've had some great times. I played in the best era, and I was lucky enough to play with some great players at Sheffield Wednesday. David Hurst we came about the same time. I came shortly after Hursty, so we kind of grew up together. He's a very close pal of mine, and John Sheridan, arguably, you know, the most natural person to balance me off in the middle of the park. Tremendous player. But even players that came in later, you know, don't get me wrong, I had my disagreements with Trevor Francis, but he did help me a lot, and I did like him a lot. I loved, you know, God rest her soul. Ellen's died.
Lovely lady.
Lovely woman, you know, and
Trevor's a good guy.
And he's a really nice guy. He really is, and we got on well.
Yeah.
It's just, you know, at that time we clashed over a few things, and you know, but I was, you know, Danny Wilson, I could go on, Roland Nielsen, but then going to Leeds with Gary Speed, God rest his soul, Gary McAllister, Gordon Strachan, you know, you'll hear that at Leeds and never really got on with Gary McAllister, and yet you would think we would get on well, but we never really got on well, and I think it was a clash of egos. He was a big ego, I was a big ego, and we clashed, but then later on in life we meet at Coventry, and then we gel.
Right.
As people, and because we know we needed each other.
Different circumstances.
Needed each other.
Time, different place.
Yeah.
Talking to you earlier, because you were on the Ref Show earlier this week, and we had a chat which was on Periscope before, and you quite startled me. You say you're going to retire. We're going to come back to the book and stories in it a little later, and views on Sheffield United, and of course Wednesday this season. You startled me by saying that you've got a retirement plan and you're retiring in 3 years. I mean, at the moment you're heading up a sports academy in China. Are you serious about that?
Well, I mean, what happened, like, Alan, with nearly dying sort of 7 months ago, you kind of sit down and look at things in perspective. There's things I want to do. I've always said to Luce, I want to go to the major sporting events in the world. And I want to have a bit of time to play golf, spend more time with my family, and, you know, there's things I want to do. And so, trust me, I really enjoy my job. It's a great job, and I'm working with Lucy and all of that. But I just want to, you know, my dad, unfortunately, you know, took ill health about 12 years ago and didn't enjoy his retirement, you know, as much as what he could have. I want to do that. So I want an exit plan rather than just keep going. So I'm not saying I'm going to retire and not do anything, but my plan is we have a home in Portugal. We'll split the time between Portugal and the UK, and I'll still do a bit of TV work, a bit of radio work, but basically just have a bit of a free rein to travel and
just the enjoyable, relaxed bits, and stay around the game. So not a complete retirement, but yes, I mean that was startling to everybody who knew you, who knows you, that you underwent this emergency 5 hours of treatment, because I can't think of a fitter middle-aged guy, you know, than you. And you look at the picture of health now, thankfully as a result of the operation.
But as you read in the book, I am my dad, and I'm exactly the same. And Lucy had told me 4 years ago. I mean, I don't even remember. Lucy had told me 4 years ago I'd been out running and I'd come back and I was really short of breath. And Lucy had said to me then, you need to go and get that checked out. But as usual, I just think, because I've known my body so well for so long, I never thought anything of it. Now, when I look back, there was 4 or 5 episodes of that. And if I'd have gone and got that checked out, it would have been dealt with by medication, and wouldn't put myself in the position I did put myself in, which I could have died. And so when that happens, you kind of sit down and reflect. So the book coming out at this time is another period of reflection as well. And I just think, well, you know, time maybe to look at an exit plan of what to do. But like Lucy said, you say that, Carlton, she said you'd probably still be doing what you're doing in 10 years' time. Who knows?
I told you about Neil Warnock earlier at 50 rather. He was telling me he was retiring at 55. He's still there at 67, 68. I'll believe it when I see it, Carlton. We don't want to lose you. I know it's great that you're staying around the game. You've got strong opinions about the game. You always tell it as it is, as we've said, and we'll talk in this part 2 about what you think about the start of the season for teams around here. Meantime, did you enjoy writing? Did you enjoy the reflection of the year writing this book?
Yeah, I did, and it was quite sobering, because I hadn't really sat down and looked back at my career, because I believe if you sit down, it's kind of like, well, you've accepted that, you know, it's done and it's finished. So I've never looked back, and I've never had a break, because I came straight out of football or went straight into player managing. and then so everything's just followed on. Yeah. So it was a time to reflect on my career, my life, things I've done well, things I've done bad, and so yeah, it took a year to write, and I understand more about who I am as a person, and I think it'll be important for my children to read so they can understand a little bit more of certain situations that went on, and yeah, I mean I'm hoping like that, you know. The book's not been done to make money, as you know.
I've written 3 books myself. Yeah, so never do them to make money.
It's not been done. Yeah. And Carl, a local publisher who you recommended to me, really lovely bloke, you know. But if we can raise some money for Cav Care Cancer Charity, which is, you know, I'm a patron of that charity, and we're giving a lot of the proceeds to them, and people enjoy the book as it's written. There's some great stories in there with me and Ersty and a few of the lads, and you know, funny enough, I saw Chris Woods the other night and he said, "I'm not going to be in trouble with the missus, am I?" I said, "No, Woodsy, you're all right, you're all right," because Sarah knows me well enough now, so we're all right, you know. So there's some great stories in there, and it was a great journey. Do you know what? I look back on my career and I come out and finished on my terms, and that's always a good thing. I had 2 years left on my contract when I retired, and I came out on my terms knowing what I was going to do to go forward. So, yeah, and I know that I'm in a good place now in life.
Published by Vertical Editions, Carl Waddicker, who runs Vertical Editions, and certainly I've written a couple of books, one of my own and one with Brian Laws, one with Lee Bullen with him, and he's a very good character, straightforward.
Oh, yeah, nice bloke.
And when is it out?
Well, the official launch will be on the 30th of September. I'm signing the first copy on the pitch at half-time, Sheffield Wednesday v Leeds. Then I'll be in the club shop, and I think it's already gone out on Facebook. I think you can get copies on Amazon and whatever from the 2nd of October.
Yeah. Well, what a great game to pick to launch it, Sheffield Wednesday v Leeds.
Well, arguably,
there's a bit of hostility between the two sets of supporters, but I think both sets forgive you for playing for the other team, don't they?
It was difficult because you know. I know Sheffield Wednesday supporters were annoyed at me at the time for going to Leeds United, but it wasn't that. It was when you read the book, you'll get to understand. I don't go to clubs for the club. When I came to Sheffield Wednesday, I came to Sheffield Wednesday for Ron Atkinson. When I went to Leeds United, I went to Leeds United for Howard Wilkinson. When I signed for Southampton, I signed for Dave Jones. There's not a cat and else chance I would have gone to Southampton. No chance at all. But I went to meet Dave Jones in Manchester in a hotel, and I just really liked the bloke. And it's somebody I could work for. So every club I've signed for is for the person that's in charge of the football club. Yeah. And I very rarely, you know, well, the only managers I've had fallouts with, George Graham at Leeds United. When you read it there, he actually came into the club, so it wasn't I didn't go to work for him. Right, and I don't know many people who wouldn't fall out with George Graham, as it happens. But you know, apart from that, all the managers, you know, again, Trevor Francis was inherited. But Trevor Francis, when you read the book, it wasn't that we actually fell out because from person to person, I got a lot of time for Trevor Francis. Yeah. It's just I didn't want to play on the right hand side.
It's professional disagreement.
Yeah, and possibly for Trevor, he's not, with all due respect to him, he's not strong enough a character to deal with me. He's not strong enough, right? And had he been strong enough to deal with me, then I don't think there'd been an issue.
Well, it takes all sorts, and you're an especially strong character.
Well, I am, but I know what I want. I know what I want to do and how I want to do it, and I have that choice.
Yeah.
And if you know, he inherited me, he played with me, he knew what I was about, he knew that was going to happen, and instead of locking horns with me a little bit, Howard was very clever at that. When Gary McAllister and I were locked horns straight away, the way he did it was got Gordon Strachan, Gary McAllister, me in. Gary McAllister's captain of the football club. I'm club captain.
Yeah.
Got us in and discussed everything with us before, and we got us all on side.
We're going to have to take a 5-minute break.
Yeah.
Plenty more to come from Carlton, where that came from. Do hope you can rejoin us in 5. See you then. See you.